Honda just dropped a bombshell at EICMA 2025 that will change the motorcycle industry forever. An announcement so revolutionary, so technologically advanced, so strategically devastating that it could end Harley-Davidson completely. Not gradually over decades, not eventually in some distant future, soon, within 5 years, maybe 3. This isn't hyperbole. This isn't YouTube clickbait exaggeration. This is documented breakthrough technology that makes Harley's entire product lineup instantly obsolete, their engineering philosophy outdated, their competitive positioning destroyed, their survival impossible. Today, I'm breaking down exactly what Honda revealed at EICMA. The technical specifications, why this technology is revolutionary, how it creates an unbridgeable gap between Honda and Harley, why Harley structurally cannot respond, and the step-by-step economic path from Honda's announcement to Harley's bankruptcy. This is an extinction-level event for American V-twin cruisers, the beginning of the end. Let's expose the complete truth. Subscribe if you want real motorcycle industry analysis without corporate spin or dealer propaganda. Bell icon so you don't miss the bankruptcy coverage when it happens. Drop a comment with your honest prediction. Can Harley survive what Honda just announced, or is this game over? Let's go. Honda revealed the V3R 900 E-Compressor prototype at EICMA 2025. The world's first production intent motorcycle with an electronically controlled compressor system. Let me break down exactly what that means technically and why it fundamentally changes motorcycle engineering forever. The V3R uses a 75-degree V3 engine configuration, 3 cylinders arranged in a V pattern, liquid-cooled, double overhead cams, 4 valves per cylinder, high-revving modern architecture designed for efficiency and performance. Nothing revolutionary yet in that basic configuration. Plenty of manufacturers build V3 engines. Triumph uses 60-degree V3s in their rocket lineup. MV Agusta builds 72-degree V3. Yamaha had V3s in various models. It's an established architecture with good balance characteristics and compact packaging. But here's where Honda shattered every assumption in the motorcycle industry. They added an electronic compressor to this V3 engine, forced induction, supercharging. Except this isn't a traditional belt-driven or gear-driven mechanical supercharger that constantly spins, constantly draining power from the crankshaft, even when you don't need boost. Honda developed an electronically controlled compressor system. It only activates when the rider demands power, when you open the throttle, when you need acceleration, when performance matters. This delivers all the benefits of forced induction without the parasitic drag penalties of mechanical drive. The compressor spins up electronically using battery power and sophisticated control systems. It compresses intake air, forces more oxygen into combustion chambers, enables more fuel to burn efficiently, creates dramatically more power and torque. Then, when you're cruising, when you're riding gently, when boost isn't needed, the compressor disengages completely, saving fuel, reducing emissions, maximizing efficiency. It's on-demand forced induction, power when you want it, efficiency when you don't. Honda's making extraordinary performance claims that, if accurate, represent a fundamental breakthrough. They state the 900cc V3R with electronic compressor delivers torque equivalent to a 1200cc naturally aspirated engine. Read that again. 900cc performs like 1200cc. That's 33% more displacement equivalent from forced induction engineering alone, without increasing actual engine size, without burning more fuel during normal cruising, without creating proportionally more emissions during everyday riding. This is efficiency mathematics that naturally aspirated engines simply cannot match. Let's put that in direct Harley comparison context. Harley's Milwaukee-Eight 117 engine is 1,923 cubic centimeters. That's 117 cubic inches in Harley's preferred measurement, nearly twice the physical displacement of Honda's 900cc, 2 times the metal, 2 times the weight, 2 times the manufacturing cost, 2 times the fuel consumption, and Honda's claiming their 900 with electronic compressor will match or exceed Milwaukee-Eight torque delivery through forced induction efficiency and modern engineering. That's not incremental improvement. That's category-killing technological superiority. Honda described the V3R riding experience as a roller coaster without rails, instant explosive thrust the moment you open the throttle, seamless linear power delivery across the entire rev range, explosive acceleration that pins you to the seat, not the lumpy offbeat torque pulses of a big V-twin that vibrates and surges. Not the traditional Harley character of low-rev grunt tapering off at higher speeds. Smooth, electronically controlled forced induction power everywhere, anytime, on demand. That's the fundamental difference between heritage engineering and future technology. And here's the critical detail that proves this isn't vaporware or fantasy concept. Honda specifically stated this electronic compressor technology is moving toward mass production as part of their Honda 2030 vision. That's their official corporate strategic roadmap, meaning production motorcycles with electronic compressor systems will exist for consumers to buy within 5 years maximum, possibly within 3 years, available at Honda dealerships, at Honda pricing structures, which means affordable, accessible, competitive with current naturally aspirated motorcycles, not $50,000 exotic limited editions, real products for real customers at real prices. That's what Honda announced. The death certificate for naturally aspirated motorcycle engines, the beginning of Harley's end. Now let's talk about exactly why this technology destroys Harley-Davidson completely. Honda's electronic compressor creates an absolutely unbridgeable technology gap between them and Harley-Davidson. Not a gap that can be closed with investment and time, not a temporary advantage that disappears when competitors catch up. A permanent structural advantage that fundamentally changes competitive dynamics forever. Let me explain in precise detail exactly why Harley cannot compete with this technology. First issue, displacement efficiency and the physics of motorcycle performance. Harley's entire competitive strategy for over a century has revolved around big displacement V-twin engines. Cubic inches, torque, the rumble, the visceral feel, the distinctive sound. Harley's brand identity is inseparable from big air-cooled twins. That philosophy requires massive physical displacement to produce power. 107 cubic inches in base touring bikes, 114 cubic inches in standard Softails, 117 cubic inches in the new 2026 cruisers, 121 cubic inches in CVOs. Huge, heavy, expensive engines producing adequate power through sheer physical size and displacement mathematics. Honda's 900cc engine with electronic compressor matches or exceeds that torquey output, from half the displacement, from half the physical size, from half the weight. Think about what that means for motorcycle engineering. Honda can build smaller, lighter, more compact engines that still produce Harley-equivalent torque and power. Lower engine weight improves handling dynamics. Better power-to-weight ratios enhance acceleration. Smaller packaging enables superior chassis design with better weight distribution. More compact power plants allow sleeker styling. Harley's fundamental displacement advantage, their core engineering philosophy for 120 years, evaporates instantly and completely. Second critical issue, emissions regulations and fuel economy requirements. Big naturally aspirated V-twin engines are inherently inefficient from thermodynamic principles. They must burn substantial quantities of fuel to make power because they rely entirely on atmospheric pressure to fill cylinders with air. They produce significant emissions relative to power output. Harley continuously struggles to meet EPA standards in America and even stricter Euro emission standards in European markets. They've been forced to detune engines progressively over years, add restrictive catalytic converters that reduce performance, restrict airflow through intake and exhaust systems, retard ignition timing. All these compromises reduce power output just to meet current regulatory minimums, and global emissions regulations only get stricter. 2030 standards, 2035 standards, 2040 standards. Each cycle tightens requirements further. Honda's electronic compressor solves this elegantly and permanently. During normal cruising and low-power riding, the compressor disengages completely. The engine runs as a small 900cc naturally aspirated V3. Highly efficient, clean burning, low emissions per mile traveled, excellent fuel economy, easily meets current and foreseeable future emission standards. Then, when the rider demands power, opens the throttle, needs acceleration or highway passing, the compressor activates instantly. More compressed air, precisely metered additional fuel, more power and torque on demand, then disengages when no longer needed. This enables small displacement efficiency combined with large displacement performance characteristics exactly when desired. Harley's big Milwaukee-Eight engines can't do that. They're always big, always heavy, always thirsty, always producing emissions proportional to their displacement. No efficiency mode, no adaptive power delivery, just constant compromise between performance and regulations. Third fundamental issue, manufacturing cost structure and economic competitiveness. Large displacement engines cost substantially more to manufacture than small displacement engines. More raw material, more metal casting, more precision machining operations, more assembly labor hours, more quality control testing. Harley's cost structure is built entirely around expensive large displacement engine production, their factories, their supply chains, their workforce skills, everything optimized for big twins. That creates high fixed costs that must be recovered through premium pricing. Honda can build the base 900cc engine much cheaper than Harley builds 1,900cc motors. Smaller castings, less material, fewer machining operations, faster assembly, lower per unit costs. Then they add electronic compressor systems at incremental cost. Yes, the compressor and electronic controls add expense, but global automotive economies of scale will drive those component costs down rapidly. Honda produces millions of vehicles annually across automobiles and motorcycles. They can amortize electronic compressor development costs across huge production volumes. Over time, perhaps quickly. Forced induction small displacement becomes cost competitive with naturally aspirated large displacement while delivering superior performance and efficiency. Harley's locked into expensive engine architecture with no cost reduction path available. Fourth strategic issue, future regulatory environment and survival viability. Environmental regulations will continue tightening globally and progressively. This isn't political opinion. This is documented regulatory reality. European Union 2030 and 2035 emissions mandates. California, zero-emission vehicle requirements expanding to other American states. Federal EPA standards reviewing and tightening every regulatory cycle. Fuel economy requirements, carbon emission targets, noise regulations. The regulatory environment only gets more restrictive for internal combustion engines. Harley's big naturally aspirated V-twins will become increasingly difficult to certify for legal sale, increasingly expensive to engineer for regulatory compliance, increasingly compromised in performance to meet standards, increasingly uncompetitive as restrictions tighten further. There's a realistic possibility that Harley's traditional engine architecture simply cannot be certified for sale in some markets by 2035. That's 10 years away, not distant future. Near-term existential threat. Honda's electronic compressor technology positions them perfectly for this regulatory future. Small, efficient base engine easily meets and exceeds any foreseeable emissions and fuel economy standard. Forced induction provides performance without constant high fuel consumption. Electronically controlled boost enables precise emissions management. This is genuinely future-proof engineering designed for regulatory environments 15 to 20 years forward. Harley's naturally aspirated heritage engines are dinosaurs looking at an incoming asteroid. That asteroid is the combination of Honda's technology and tightening regulations. Extinction is inevitable. Fifth and final fundamental issue, performance ceiling and engineering limitations. Naturally aspirated internal combustion engines have absolute physical limits determined by atmospheric pressure and thermodynamic principles. You can only burn so much fuel efficiently with naturally occurring air pressure at sea level. Want more power? Need more displacement? Want more displacement? Need bigger, heavier engines? Want bigger engines? Need stronger frames, larger motorcycles, more weight everywhere. It's a limiting spiral. Performance gains require proportional size and weight increases. Forced induction breaks that physical ceiling completely. You can compress intake air to pressures far exceeding atmosphere. Burn proportionally more fuel efficiently. Make dramatically more power from the same displacement. Honda can dial electronic compressor boost levels up or down electronically. Create multiple performance levels from one engine platform. Offer sport versions with higher boost, touring versions with moderate boost, economy versions with minimal boost, all from the same base engine with software and hardware tuning variations. Maximum manufacturing efficiency, maximum market flexibility, maximum product range from minimal investment. Harley's trapped in the displacement arms race. Want more power? Need more cubic inches. That's their only variable. That's expensive, heavy, inefficient, manufacturing limited. They can't offer wide performance ranges without designing completely different engines. Each displacement variant requires unique tooling, separate certification, distinct inventory. High costs, low flexibility, competitive disadvantage in every dimension. The technology gap is absolute and permanent. Harley has no answer to forced induction electronic compressor technology. Their entire engineering philosophy is heritage. Air-cooled, naturally aspirated V-twins, pushrod valve actuation, 2 valves per cylinder. Technology fundamentally unchanged since the 1940s. Honda just leapfrogged them 80 years into the future with electronic compressor forced induction on modern liquid-cooled overhead cam multi-cylinder engines. The gap cannot be closed without Harley completely abandoning their entire brand identity, engineering philosophy, manufacturing infrastructure, and customer base. That's impossible. Which means Harley's doomed. Here's the question Harley defenders will ask. Why can't Harley just develop their own forced induction, design electronic compressor systems, hire engineers, invest money, compete with Honda on technology, build modern engines? The answer is simple and devastating. They structurally cannot. It's not about willingness or desire, it's about fundamental impossibility. Let me explain exactly why in comprehensive detail. First, critical limitation, engineering capability and institutional knowledge. Harley-Davidson doesn't have the in-house engineering talent, experience, or institutional knowledge to develop electronic compressor forced induction systems. Their engineering team, their institutional expertise, their decades of accumulated knowledge all focuses on air-cooled pushrod V-twin architecture. That's what they know. That's what they're good at. That's their specialized expertise built over generations. Forced induction electronic compressor systems require completely different engineering skill sets. Advanced electronics and control systems engineering, computational fluid dynamics for compressor design, thermal management and heat transfer engineering, high-speed electric motor control, real-time adaptive boost management software, integration of mechanical and electronic systems. None of these capabilities exist within Harley's current engineering organization. Could Harley hire talent from outside, recruit engineers with forced induction experience, partner with automotive suppliers who build turbochargers and superchargers? Theoretically, yes, but that's not a 2-year project. That's 5 to 7 years minimum to build institutional knowledge, develop completely new engine platforms, integrate forced induction, test thoroughly, certify for emissions, validate reliability, prepare manufacturing, and launch production. Honda's already there. Honda has decades of forced induction experience from automotive turbochargers in Civics, Accords, CR-Vs. They understand boost pressure management, compressor efficiency maps, electronic control strategies, thermal challenges, durability requirements. They're not learning. They're applying proven expertise to motorcycles. By the time Harley hypothetically catches up, Honda will be 2 or 3 product generations ahead. The gap widens, never closes. Second critical limitation, financial resources and capital availability. Harley's hemorrhaging money and desperately short on capital. Sales down 23% year over year in 2025. Revenue collapsing quarter after quarter, operating losses mounting. They sold their $5 billion financial services division just to raise emergency cash to survive current operations. They don't have money for revolutionary engine development programs. New engine platforms cost hundreds of millions of dollars minimum, possibly over $1 billion for completely new forced induction architecture, research and development, advanced engineering, prototype building and testing, emission certification across multiple global markets, manufacturing tooling, supply chain development, factory retooling, workforce training, marketing, and launch. That's easily $1 billion program. Harley doesn't have $1 billion. They barely have operating cash to survive next year. Honda has effectively unlimited capital. They're profitable globally, diversified across automobiles and motorcycles, strong balance sheet. They can invest billions in technology development. Harley can't. Financial constraints alone make competitive response impossible. Third critical limitation, brand identity crisis and customer alienation risk. Harley's brand is built entirely on air-cooled V-twin sound, character, and heritage. The distinctive potato-potato exhaust note, the mechanical simplicity of pushrod engines, the torque pulse vibration, the visceral rumble. Harley loyalists buy the brand specifically for these characteristics. It's emotional purchase behavior, not rational engineering evaluation. Forced induction fundamentally changes engine character. Smoother power delivery, higher revving, different exhaust sound, less vibration, more refinement. That's antithetical to Harley's brand identity. If Harley introduced forced induction, hardcore loyalists would revolt, claim Harley sold out, abandoned tradition, betrayed heritage, became just another motorcycle company. Lost what makes Harley special. The internet would explode with outrage. Forums would declare Harley dead. Influencers would produce videos titled, "Harley Betrays Heritage." Customer alienation would be massive and immediate. But if Harley doesn't modernize with forced induction, they die to competitors with superior technology. They're trapped between technological obsolescence and brand identity preservation. Can't modernize without losing their base. Can't maintain heritage without losing competitiveness. It's a no-win situation. Checkmate. Any move destroys them. That's structural impossibility. Fourth limitation, manufacturing infrastructure and tooling lock-in. Harley's factories are completely tooled, optimized, and organized around air-cooled V-twin production. Specialized machining equipment, custom assembly lines, quality control procedures, testing facilities, supply chain relationships, everything designed for current engine architecture. That represents hundreds of millions in sunk capital investment, stranded assets if they change directions. Switching to forced induction, liquid-cooled engines requires complete factory retooling. New machining centers, new assembly equipment, new testing facilities, new supply chain development. That's another few hundred million in capital expenditure. Takes years to design, procure, install, validate, and optimize. During retooling, production stops or slows dramatically. Revenue collapses further. They can't afford operational disruption while sales are already down 23%. They need current revenue to survive. They can't stop production to retool for future products. Catch-22. Structural trap. Fifth and most critical limitation, time. Harley-Davidson doesn't have time. Sales collapsing now, revenue falling now, dealers closing now, customers leaving now, cash burning now. Crisis is immediate and accelerating. Even if Harley started forced induction development today, production motorcycles wouldn't reach dealerships until 2030 or 2031 at absolute earliest. 5 to 7 years development and production preparation. By then, Harley might not exist as an independent company. They'll have filed bankruptcy, been acquired, liquidated, ceased operations. Honda's launching forced induction technology, moving toward production within 3 years maximum. 2027 or 2028. By the time Harley could hypothetically respond, Honda will have established market dominance, customer mindshare, technology leadership. Harley will be irrelevant, too late, game already over, time doesn't wait, markets don't pause, customers don't remain loyal indefinitely. Technology doesn't slow down for laggards. Harley's on a sinking ship. They can't design, engineer, build, and launch a completely new ship fast enough to transfer passengers before the current one goes under. By the time the new ship is ready, everyone's already drowned or moved to Honda's ship. That's not metaphor. That's business reality. Harley cannot respond to Honda's electronic compressor forced induction. Structurally impossible. Lacks engineering capability. Lacks financial resources. Locked into brand identity that rejects modernization. Trapped by manufacturing infrastructure sunk costs, out of time. Even if they tried, even if they committed everything, it's too late. Honda's already won. Harley's already lost. The outcome is predetermined. Let's walk through the precise economic mechanism by which Honda's announcement leads directly to Harley's bankruptcy. Not speculation, not opinion. Step-by-step market dynamics and business economics. This is how it happens. Step 1. Honda launches production forced induction motorcycles. Timeline 2027 or 2028, within 3 years maximum. 900cc V3 with electronic compressor, 1200cc torque equivalent, smooth liquid-cooled modern power delivery. Excellent fuel economy, low emissions, future-proof technology, priced competitively, maybe $18,000 to $24,000, directly targeting Harley cruiser and touring segments, multiple models, full product line. Professional marketing, global distribution through Honda's massive dealer network. Step 2. Customers evaluate and compare. Honda forced induction versus Harley naturally aspirated. Similar price range, similar market segment, but Honda offers modern technology, forced induction performance, liquid cooling, better fuel economy, lower emissions, smoother power, more reliable, easier maintenance, better resale value. Younger, more educated, more tech-savvy customers choose Honda overwhelmingly. They want modern technology, they want efficiency, they want performance, they want value. Honda delivers all of that. Harley delivers none. Word spreads. Reviews praise Honda's innovation. YouTube comparison videos show Honda dominance. Forums discuss Honda's superiority. Social media amplifies the message. Honda becomes the smart choice. Harley becomes the outdated choice. Step 3. Harley loses market share acceleratingly. Already down 23% in 2025, Honda's forced induction accelerates the decline dramatically. More customers choose Honda, more riders switch from Harley to Honda. Sales volume drops catastrophically. 2026, Harley maybe sells 100,000 motorcycles worldwide. 2027 drops to 80,000. 2028 plummets to 60,000. That's 75% decline from peak years of 250,000. Revenue collapses proportionally. Gross margin shrinks because they're discounting desperately to move inventory. Operating losses explode because fixed costs don't decrease proportionally with volume. Step 4. Dealer network collapses catastrophically. With collapsing sales volume, Harley dealers can't make money. Inventory carrying costs destroy profitability. Floor plan interest on unsold bikes costs $25,000 to $40,000 monthly per dealer. With unit sales down 75%, dealers can't cover costs. More dealers close. Already lost 100 dealerships in 4 years. With Honda competition intensifying and Harley sales collapsing, maybe another 100 dealers close by 2028. Harley loses distribution reach. Fewer dealers means fewer customer touchpoints. Fewer customer touchpoints means even lower sales. Creates vicious cycle. Dealers close, sales drop further, more dealers close, accelerating downward spiral. Step 5. Revenue collapse and cash crisis. Lower sales volume. Lower average selling prices from desperate discounting. Revenue drops below $1 billion quarterly. Maybe $800 million. $600 million. Fixed costs remain high. Factory overhead, administrative expense, marketing, research, dealer support, legal, regulatory. Can't cut costs fast enough to match revenue decline. Operating losses $200 million per quarter, $300 million per quarter. Cash burns rapidly. No reserves left after selling financial services division. Bank accounts depleting, approaching zero. Step 6. Credit rating downgrade and debt crisis. Harley has billions in outstanding debt, corporate bonds, credit facilities, bank loans. As revenue collapses and losses mount, credit rating agencies downgrade Harley. Investment grade to junk status, BB rating. B rating, possibly CCC. Junk status triggers higher interest rates on existing debt, makes refinancing impossible. Credit markets close to distressed companies. Banks stop lending. Bondholders panic. Bond prices collapse. Debt service costs spike. Harley can't service debt obligations. Default becomes imminent. Step 7. Bankruptcy filing inevitable. Out of cash. Can't pay suppliers. Can't make payroll. Can't service debt. Can't fund operations. No options remain. No white knight buyer appears because why buy a dying company with obsolete technology? Management files. Chapter 11. Bankruptcy protection. Courts take control. Assets liquidated. Brand potentially sold to private equity. Maybe someone licenses Harley name for t-shirts and nostalgic memorabilia. But Harley-Davidson, as independent American motorcycle manufacturer, dead. Bankrupt. Liquidated, gone, destroyed by superior technology they couldn't match. That's the precise mechanism, not overnight, over 3 to 5 years. But inevitable, unavoidable, predetermined. Honda's forced induction announcement started the countdown. Bankruptcy is the endpoint. Mathematics and economics make it certain. Honda's V3R electronic compressor isn't their only Harley-killing announcement at EICMA 2025. They revealed a complete product ecosystem designed to dominate every market segment where Harley competes. Let me walk through the complete lineup because it proves this is strategic annihilation, not just competitive pressure. Honda D7 electric motorcycle, 50 kilowatts peak power output. That's 67 horsepower, 100 newton meters of torque. That's 74 pound-feet. From Electric Motors, equivalent to a 1000 cc conventional engine in performance, 0 emissions, 140 kilometers range, approximately 87 miles. Integrated motor inverter system, regenerative braking, walking speed mode for parking maneuvers. This represents Honda's first electric motorcycle moving deliberately toward production. Not a concept, not a dream, production intent technology. Now compared directly to Harley's Livewire catastrophic failure. Harley sold exactly 33 Livewire units in Q1 2025, 33 motorcycles in 3 months, lost over $20 million in 1 quarter on electric motorcycle operations, then essentially abandoned the entire project. Livewire became independent company without support. Harley proved they don't understand electric markets, don't understand pricing, don't understand product positioning. Complete disaster. Honda watched Harley fail, studied the mistakes, learned comprehensively, developed better product, better pricing strategy, better market positioning, better technology integration. They're not guessing, they're executing proven strategy. When Honda WN7 launches, it'll likely price around $10,000 to $15,000, maybe $12,000. That's accessible, that's competitive, that's rational market pricing. Not Harley's idiotic $22,000 for Livewire that nobody wanted. Honda understands markets. Harley doesn't. Honda will succeed where Harley failed spectacularly. Honda CB 1000 GT Sport Touring Motorcycle, 1000 cc inline-4 engine, liquid-cooled modern technology, quick shifter system standard equipment. Harley charges thousands extra for cruise control. Honda includes quick shifter standard, 4 preset riding modes plus 1 user customizable mode, adaptive electronics throughout, modern rider aids, premium suspension, excellent braking. This competes directly with Harley Touring segment, Street Glide, Road Glide, Ultra Limited, all the bikes that generate Harley's highest margins and most revenue, except Honda CB 1000 GT is lighter weight, faster acceleration, higher top speed, better handling, more fuel efficient, lower emissions, more reliable, cheaper maintenance, better technology. Probably similar or better pricing. This attacks Harley's most profitable core segment with superior product at competitive price. That's existential threat. Harley's touring bikes generate disproportionate revenue and profit. If Honda steals that segment with CB 1000 GT, Harley's business model collapses completely. Honda's not competing with one bike. They're building complete ecosystem of Harley killers. Forced Induction 5 3R for performance and cruiser segments. Electric WN7 for zero-emission urban and environmental markets. Sport Tourer CB 1000 GT for traditional touring customers. Covering every segment where Harley operates with superior technology, better value, smarter strategy, overwhelming engineering advantage. Harley's being surrounded, attacked from every direction simultaneously, with no capability to defend any position, no resources to respond to any threat, no technology to counter any product. Complete strategic encirclement. That's not competition, that's annihilation. Honda's EICMA announcements represent more than just Honda versus Harley-Davidson rivalry. They signal fundamental motorcycle industry transformation, permanent shift away from traditional naturally aspirated engines toward efficient forced induction technology, toward electric powertrains for appropriate applications, toward modern electronics and rider aids, toward competitive pricing and accessible products. Harley's on the wrong side of every single industry trend. That's not bad luck. That's strategic failure. Look comprehensively at EICMA 2025. What did major manufacturers demonstrate? Yamaha revealed electric motocross prototypes for new professional racing series. BMW showed affordable adventure bikes manufactured in India through partnership with TVS. Ducati unveiled updated Panigale superbikes with advanced electronics. Triumph refreshed sport bike lineup with modern technology. KTM launched performance machines across segments. Everyone showed innovation, future-focused products, technology leadership, market understanding. What did Harley-Davidson show at EICMA? Nothing. They weren't even present. Skip the world's largest motorcycle show completely. Because they have nothing new, nothing competitive, nothing innovative, nothing worth showing. They're irrelevant. While Honda and every other manufacturer define the industry's future, Harley clings desperately to an idealized past that never really existed. They're dinosaurs refusing to acknowledge the asteroid approaching overhead. Extinction is inevitable for species that don't adapt. This transformation doesn't wait politely for Harley to catch up. Markets move quickly. Technology advances exponentially. Customers choose superior products rationally. Companies that adapt to change survive and thrive. Companies that resist change die. Harley's actively choosing death through heritage worship and change resistance. Honda's choosing market dominance through innovation and technology leadership. The outcome is absolutely predetermined. Honda just announced electronic compressor forced induction technology that makes Harley-Davidson's entire product lineup instantly obsolete. 900cc performing like 1200cc, smooth forced induction power delivery, modern liquid-cooled efficiency, future-proof regulatory compliance. Everything Harley cannot match, won't match, structurally cannot ever match without completely abandoning brand identity and rebuilding from zero. This isn't normal competition. This isn't incremental technology advantage. This is category-defining breakthrough that resets industry standards permanently. Honda's not trying to beat Harley in traditional motorcycle competition. They're erasing the category where Harley competes, making naturally aspirated V-twins as obsolete as carburetors, as outdated as kickstarters, as archaic as drum brakes. The game changed completely. Harley's still playing by old rules. Honda rewrote the rules entirely. Harley cannot respond, lacks engineering capability to develop forced induction, lacks financial resources to fund development, lacks time to complete development before bankruptcy, trapped by brand identity that rejects modernization, shackled by manufacturing infrastructure sunk costs. Even if Harley tried everything possible, committed every resource, it's already too late. Honda will be generations ahead before Harley's first forced induction prototype runs. This is checkmate in slow motion. Game over. Bankruptcy countdown started. Everyone can see the ending. Only question is how long Harley takes to die. Honda's announcement will bankrupt Harley-Davidson. Not might bankrupt, will bankrupt. Within 5 years maximum. Possibly 3 years. Maybe sooner if credit markets close or major dealer bankruptcies cascade. Because markets don't wait. Customers don't stay loyal indefinitely. Technology doesn't pause. Regulations don't relax. Competition doesn't stop. And Harley's already dying before Honda forced induction even launches. Drop a comment right now. Do you think Harley can somehow survive Honda's forced induction technology? Do they have any path forward, or is this genuinely the end for Harley-Davidson as independent company? Give me your honest prediction. Let's see if anyone thinks Harley survives this. Subscribe for continued detailed coverage of Harley's decline and Honda's market domination. This channel documents real motorcycle industry transformation without corporate propaganda, without false hope, without delusional optimism, just facts, just data, just reality. Even when reality is uncomfortable, even when truth hurts. What Honda just announced at 2025 will bankrupt Harley-Davidson. The technology gap is unbridgeable. The response is impossible. The timeline is fatal. The outcome is predetermined. Harley's finished. The clock is ticking, and there's no escape.